Hello and welcome back to another special episode here of You from the Bullens with myself, Ben Winstanley, and I am joined by an absolute Everton legend that had represented our football club for the past 3 decades, Jimmy Martin. Jimmy, before we get cracking, how are you, mate? Great to have you here.
Very good, yeah. Feel good. Had a bit of a scare in the summer, a bit of a heart attack, but back to normal again now. Looking forward to my retirement.
Yeah, it's good to hear, and obviously good to hear you in such good health now. You've just retired. How's that treating you? Been on any holidays?
Yeah, just as I say, I've got a little place in Spain, so I've been over there for 5 weeks, and then I'm going to Cyprus for a week, just because I would have found it hard just being in the house with no banter with the lads and all that, So I'm trying to make as much time up as I can by just going away and getting a bit of a break.
Yeah, so today, Jimmy, my job today is to obviously get stuck into you, find out about all things past, present, and the future. Hopefully get some great stories out of you. I'm going to take you back to the very beginning. Obviously, becoming Everton's kitman, a previous job. How did that come about then? For the listeners that don't know, how did Jimmy Martin go into Everton Football Club?
Well, I actually started driving a team bus in 1979-80 season. Gordon Lee was the manager. So I had all the older players then, Asa Hartford, Mick Lyons, and then we just kept driving the bus, and then Howard Kendall come back in 80, 81, took the club to the most successful manager the club has ever had, and what a man to work for, by the way, fantastic man. And then, as I say, I drove the bus to Wembley 11 times in the 80s. Took him to the airport and the European thing and picked them up at 2 o'clock in the morning, so, but I knew everybody. I knew all the staff who worked there. I knew all the directors, because the directors used to travel. People from the press used to travel with us as well, so I knew everybody when I got the kit manager job. Howard, I went over to Spain to be the manager at Bilbao. He come back from Bilbao with it. He'd done a good spell there. I think they won the league and things like that. And when he come back, he pulled me in the office on a Wednesday. I was going to go to Old Trafford with the reserves, as I used to do the A team, the B team reserves and the first team. And I had my holidays when they had the holidays in the summer. So then he come in and he said, I've got a job for you. As I said, I used to be a painter and decorator. I used to paint Collins houses and Sharpies and Andes and all that in the summer. So I went, how many rooms have you got? I went, no, it's not a room. He said, I want you to, I've got a job for you. Come and see me on Saturday. He said, I won't tell you what it is. Come and see me on Saturday morning. He said, and then I'll explain it to you. So anyway, I went on the Saturday, because I used to drive the players to the hotel and bring them back to the ground and all that. And I called in to see Howard at Belfield, because he wanted to see me. And he went, the job I've got for you, I want you to be our kit manager. And he said, hopefully you'll take it. He said, when I was in Bilbao, he said it's a good thing to have a kit manager in charge of all the kit instead of all the apprentices. He said, if you take the job, he said, you'll be in charge of all the apprentices, give them all the jobs and all that, he says, and we'll take it from there. If you come back tomorrow, Jim Greenwood, who was the secretary to the club, he says, you'll be able to sign a contract for me and get someone to bring you in. So I got my missus at the time to bring me in, and I went back on the Sunday morning. And he said, right, you're going to be our kit manager. He said, if you want the job, sign on the dotted line there. I never even looked at the contract. I just signed it. I said, I was shaking when I signed it. And then he went, and these are yours. He gave me a set of keys for a brand new Ford Orion gear in a dark grey. I couldn't believe it, because I had an old clapped out Mini. And I had the newest car in the street at the time, you know what I mean? So, and that was it, and rest of history, you know what I mean? Fantastic to work for this fantastic club.
Yeah, unbelievable. Let's touch on Howard. Howard Kendall as a man. We've had numerous guests on this podcast who spoke so highly of him. How did he impact your life, and obviously how did he integrate you into Everton Football Club? Because he just got the football club, didn't he?
Well, I remember he put a thing in the Liverpool Echo that I was his best signing. He mentioned Neville, and he mentioned a few other players. And me and I were very close, and we got, because I'd known him for all them years anyway, you know what I mean? So to work for him as a man, what a man, what a football knowledge he had as well. But he knew how to treat people. Yeah. Everybody was treated, whether you were a groundsman, whether you were the kit man, whether you were the cleaner. he treated everybody the same, and that's what I liked about Howard Kendall.
Yeah, it's such an absolutely hero of Everton Football Club. And obviously a few of the guests, and myself included, are wondering, what is a kitman? You know, it's not just washing kits, is it? Because obviously people would be thinking, oh, what is it involved? What does it entail? You've mentioned the apprenticeships there. What is the generic role of the kitman, and has it developed from when you first took the job for what it is now?
Well, when I first took the job, I didn't know what I was coming into, to be honest with you. And the apprentices them days used to have to go down to a laundrette in Eaton Road with a load of pound coins and do the washing. And that was, and they put that so much in the washing machine and have the Mars bars and the papers. they had got washed, because we had 2 dryers at Belfield, because Belfield was no good to put washing machines in the size that we wanted. So when I come in, I looked for a laundry, because we had a local laundry who done the match kit. But even the match kit was going missing and things like that. So we had to find a laundry. So I'd done a bit of investigation into a local laundry in St Helens, which was a family company, and we're still involved in that company to this day.
Oh, wow.
They used to do all our training kit, and they used to do all our match kit and everything like that. We used to take all the kids down there, and they had stamping machines to put numbers and names and all that on the kits and all that. We used to do everything from the laundry. It's the best thing I'd ever done, because the man from David Reed, it was his mum and dad who had the factory before. They didn't lead me in a good way as well by the help that I got off them, So that's how I started.
Yeah, obviously 3 decades at Everton Football Club, numerous managers, probably the longest serving staff at the football club. You've seen people come and go, and like Howard said, you probably were the best signing for the football club going forward. I want to touch on the managers now. We've had, from the likes of Howard Kendall, Walter Smith, David Moyes, Carlo Ancelotti, and he who must not be named, Rafael Benitez. Did you find it different working with different managers? And was there any stories behind it? Did they always welcome you? Was there anyone in particular that you liked working under? Because I'm here to obviously pick your brain to try and get them stories out of you. I can see you there wanting to tell me loads, but I need to try and get it out of you.
Well, every manager was different, completely different. Howard was a gentleman as well. And then after we had Howard, I think we got Mike Walker, and then we got Walter Smith, and then after Walter we got I think Moyes coming after that. There's that many. You're trying to think who was coming in, but they were all good.
Yeah,
they were all good. They were all good to me. I can't criticise any of the managers. They had different ways of working, and but I always got on all right with all the managers. There was one I wasn't sure about, and he didn't last long, was Ronald Koeman.
Yeah.
Ronald Koeman wasn't one of us. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't like his staff. I mean, they actually called us the lesser staff, because we weren't his staff. But I had nothing against him, you know what I mean? And I remember going to a hotel. He had this hotel, a friend of his in Holland. We went to do a pre-season over there. I remember we got our rooms. It was me and Tony, and we got these 3 rooms. We had Bob Sefton, who was our driver, to take all our stuff. We worked part-time, Bob, and he'd drive our stuff over to Holland or Italy, wherever it went. It all went over in the van. It's not like it is now, you've got your own plane and things like that. And we went over there, and we had these 3 rooms. They were the worst bedrooms I've ever stayed in my life, especially, like going away with Walter, going away with like Howard. We stayed in top hotels.
Yeah.
So when we actually checked out at the end, when the love, there's the keys back. You can put your dogs back in the room now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they were that bad. The doors were falling off the fridge, and the wardrobe couldn't open the wall. That kind of that put a downer on him for me, because that was like our first away trip. But his brother Erwin, you wouldn't think they were brothers. I'm still speak to Erwin to this day. Erwin was a class man, like Howard, like Colin, like everybody like that. You know what I mean? So. But he would be the only one, but I'm not saying he's a bad fella.
Yeah.
That's the way he worked. And when I told, as I said, Sammy Lee's one of my best friends, Sammy. I've known Sammy for 30 odd years. He worked with him at Southampton, and he said, I can't believe that, Jimmy. I can't believe he was like that. But he was.
Yeah, it's just.
But all the other managers, like Walter, Archie, they were comedians. They were strong and straight with the players, but loved the banter with the backroom staff because there was many of us.
Yeah.
We had like Les Helm was our physio then. I mean, he was a character, Les. I remember the first day we just signed Andrik and Chelsea from Manchester United, and he'd been a Russian, like, you know what I mean. He went, Les, I need massage. Les couldn't believe it. He went, massage, lad. Hang on a minute. He went to his other room, got the Echo out, and went, "Yeah, lad, there's a big row of them down here. Pick which one you want." You know what I mean? That was Les, but Les was he was a physio when I first started, and me and him were so close. We'd sit in the bedroom on a Friday night having a few biscuits and that before we had a beer, because he wasn't a big drinker, Les. Yeah. And he'd say, "See him, not having him." He could look at someone and go, "He's going to be a problem, or he's going to be okay." And I learned off all that. And now I could look at people now, players who come in now, and I go, "He's going to be a problem. He's going to be okay." You know, and that's how it is. Football is just, it's a big family, and you get to know everybody. You know what I mean?
The most settled period at Everton over the past, you know, for me especially, being born in the 90s, was obviously under David Moyes. You know, he was there for so many years, and obviously went on from that. We would qualify for the Champions League. What was it like within the dressing room then? We'll go back to that season, because, you know, we look at small wins here, and then that was probably the most pinnacle moment for me, you know, qualifying for the Champions League, finishing fourth after nearly going down the previous year. David Moyes brought this like stability amongst Evertonians, amongst the football club itself. What was it like in the dressing room back then? You know, was it? Can you tell when the results are going good and bad? Does it affect the mood? Does it affect the players?
Well, I mean, the earlier days, I've seen fights in the dressing room, and I've seen cups go, and I've seen teapots go. Them days, you'd have a big teapot, and in the winter, Howard would have like a little bottle of whiskey, and you'd all have half a whiskey to go out to keep you warm. You know what I mean? But no, I've seen all sorts in that dressing room. I've seen players who have played bad with towels over their head and all that. You know what I mean? And I take it with a pinch of salt. You know what I mean? And I've had some good times and some bad. I used to be the same. I used to say, I mean, I remember we played Man City, got beat 5-0. We had Kevin Coban, who's the nicest fella, by the way, Kevin Coban. We used to call him Killer, but he was, because he was so nice. And Lee Carsley, I was close to Lee Carsley. Lee Carsley used to come round to my house and get his breakfast some mornings, and I'd bring him into Finch Farm, bring him into Belfield. And I said to them after the City game, I went, "What is it like playing the worst Everton team I've ever saw?" And I tell you what, he brings it up all the time. And he said, "Jimmy," he said, "that hurt me." He said, "But you know, we needed it. We needed it," he said, "because we were terrible that day." You know what I mean? Little things, and you go around different players, and I said it to like a Wolby, get out there and just run, just work hard, and you'll get results. You know, you pick on, because some players you've got to put your arm around them. Some players you go, "Hey, you need to do more. You need to start working harder. You're not doing enough," because they were with us every day.
Yeah.
So it's like talking to your mates. They were all your mates, and you could say what you wanted to say to them. You know what I mean? You could tell them what you thought, and they take it on board. And they would have it. I've had loads of players. You know what I mean? And that's how it was.
Yeah. How is it then with that, obviously, the player relationship? Because you mentioned there like the likes of Iwobi and other players, and having to work hard. Some players sometimes don't really know what it is to play for Everton, and I think that's massive, and that's something that obviously Sean Dyche is going into a bit more at the moment, but we'll touch on him a bit later. Is it hard then? Obviously, do the players kind of kick back sometimes? Do they argue with you? Did they used to like fight amongst themselves? Like, was there any stories behind the scenes? Like, it must be so difficult, because we are human beings at the end of the day, and no one likes being told what to do, do they?
No. I mean, some of these players, like you spoke about Michael Ball, these have come through and like Dunny and all that. They've come through the ranks. They know what they're getting from me.
Yeah.
And they try and tell players who come in. He'll tell you as it is. What he says, he'll be like your dad.
Yeah.
He'll tell you what it is. Take notice of what he's saying to you, and that players tell each other what you're going to get from me. And that's what it was like. I would never take no player would ever get the better of me. Never.
That's great to hear. Let's touch on Michael Ball, only because he's part of this podcast and he comes on all the time, and he will absolutely hate me for trying to get a story out of him. But there was one that you were telling me before that I'm sure the listeners would absolutely love to hear about Michael Ball's time in Everton.
Well, his best mate was Donny, wasn't he? And Donny was in digs where they used to do Brookside down the other side of Belfield. And they didn't turn up on this New Year's Day for training. So Walters pulled me, he went, go and find them two. He said, they've not turned in for training. So I went down. I looked through the window. Donny was lying on the couch and Bolly was lying on the chair. So, let's go. Oh, my God. And I used to say, he's going mad at you. He's going absolutely mad. Because hey, Walter Smith was a hard man, by the way.
Yeah.
But he was a gentle giant. And Archie was the hardest. You know, you never crossed them. They put you right in the picture. Anyway, and I said to Bolly, I said, oh, Bolly, you're getting it when you get here, lad. Don't worry about that. You're getting it. He went, oh, my God. They were shaking in the car. Anyway, they get in. Walter was one of them. You wouldn't be frightened of him. But then he's like mellow when he get in. And he, because he knew, Walter knew I'd be at him. Right from there, so he didn't have to do. I've done his job for him. Yeah. So they knew they stepped out of line when they got back to Belfield. You know what I mean? So that was Bally, like, you know what I mean. But he was a great lad, great footballer as well.
Yeah, he's still the same now. Still loves a bevy now, but does our ball? He's always smashed.
Well, we all were bevy at them days, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Let's touch on another player, Paul Gascoigne. You know, we've Everton briefly. We've had people speak on here before about some of the stories behind the scenes and just how funny he actually was. What was he like to have around the dressing room, obviously around Belfield at the time? Have you got any stories about Paul Gascoigne? How long have we got?
I've got plenty of stories on Paul Gascoigne. What a character. He's got to be the best character I've ever seen in a football club. Yeah. Because he was just 24 hours a day. I remember me and Jimmy Coleman Jimmy Coleman used to play for Liverpool, but was an Evertonian, fantastic lad. We used to play had tennis together. We used to beat everybody, players, don't matter who they were. And Gascoigne come and we played him and Stephen Hughes at tennis, and we beat them. And the next morning they'll come in. Gascoigne was sitting on the wall with a ball waiting to play head tennis. That was what he was like. He was a great lad. I've got so many stories on Gascoigne, but the one I really remember is it was like a couple of days before Christmas. We were sitting in the canteen upstairs, and he went, Jimmy, I need to come and sit here with me. And he had his checkbook in front of him, and he went, what's her name behind the counter? I went, Mary. No. What's the second name? I said, Mary Ellis, and that's Lynn Pruden, Robbie Gillespie, and he wrote them all a check out for 250 quid for Christmas. Wow. How many players do that?
Probably not.
The only player who's ever done that is Louis Saha. Come in, sign the contract, and give all the backroom staff 500 quid. They're players. They're proper people. You wouldn't get that nowadays. No chance. No, not another chance.
No, you wouldn't indeed. And another player will go from Paul Gascoigne to Samuel Eto'o. There was this. There was this story, isn't there?
Well, Samuel Eto'o. I mean, he played for Barcelona, played for Chelsea. He was a big star. I remember we went to Atalanta, and Tony said, "You work for me at the time." He went, "Jimmy, he's just took all his gear off, his shorts and his slip and all that, and left it in the shower." I went in the shower, had a look at it. Number 5. They're never going to get away with it because everything was marked up. I went, Samuel, I know you play for Barcelona and I know you play for Chelsea, but you're with Everton now. Get your gear out the shower and put it in the skip like everybody else. The dressing room just went dead quiet. And Samuel Eto'o went and got his gear, put it in the skip. And you know what? From that day on, me and him were so close because he never had that before. They never had that. They go to Chelsea and the kitmen, the wimps, they let him away with things. Not at Everton. They didn't get away with it at Everton.
No, he certainly didn't, did he?
Not a chance.
Fast forward a bit from then, obviously we're going to touch on Carlo Ancelotti, European winner, probably the best out there, so many managers, absolutely classy human from the outside looking in. What was he like to work under? Obviously brought James Rodriguez in it, another, superstar, let's be honest, a global superstar.
Yeah.
What was that like, having like these two, let's be honest, at this moment in time, Everton were just not as big as they should be, but they got these two superstars. And what were they both like as people?
Not superstars to me, lad. Simple as that. They're not superstars. Rodriguez, seen better players than him. And Ancelotti, well, he's one of these like Pep Guardiola. They're all right with the money. Got no money, they want to get out, they want to get away. He was all right as a fella, but you'd have a coffee sitting on the table, and he'd have a coffee behind you. You wouldn't say good morning to you and all like that. So no, I wasn't a lover of him.
Oh wow! See, that's it. Stuff like that. That's really interesting to see. And
That's the truth.
It is.
It's no good beating behind the bush. I wasn't a lover of him. And he didn't do a lot for Everton, did he?
No, he actually didn't, to be fair. But looking at players, then you said players that are obviously better than James Rodriguez. Currently come through. I think. I loved, like you mentioned before, Louis Saha.
Mikel Arteta was better than him.
Arteta, yeah, for example. What was he like as a person?
Brilliant. I still speak to Mick. He's a great lad. And he's doing well at Arsenal. I'm made up for him. We still get on regularly. If you come to Goodison when we play Arsenal, the first one he gives a hug to is me, because we were so close. And he used to roommate with Nuno Valente, who won the Champions League with Porto and all that. So they were good lads. They were proper players. And he was great, Mikel, because he tried to come in and be the big man, big I am,
Yeah.
and speak Spanish to us and all that. And we just give him loads. So, he was a great lad.
What's the banter like then, obviously, from the outside looking in? Is there loads? Do the players get on? Is there frictions? Do some players just don't get on whatsoever? Do some players train better than others? And do you see that looking at them?
Yeah, you see the wall. I mean, they try and kid. Yeah, but don't kid me, lad.
Don't kid a kidder.
But the thing is, they're good lads, and they're all kids. And sometimes you need to put the law down to them and make them think, how lucky they are being in the environment they're in, getting the food for free and getting all the travel, staying in top hotels. They don't realise how lucky they are. Some of these kids who are coming through now, they don't realise how lucky they are. So I used to give them the riot act. When they come from the academy down to the first team, and they come in with dirty boots and things like that, I used to sit them down and I used to give them the riot act. This is what you get down here, lad. And don't step out of line, and you don't want to brush your boots. They'll be in the bin tomorrow. Because you know what? I've got the manager backing me. That's the difference. No, and that's how you done it. That's how you said stuff.
Yeah, I love that old school approach, to be fair, because look at these players nowadays, thousands and thousands of pounds a week, some of them think they're like the prima donnas, and they need a bit of homeschooling, shall we say, to just let them know, you're not in charge, you play for Everton Football. The club is always bigger than the name on the back in my eyes.
I mean, I remember one of the kids, Dennis, I don't know where he is now, then, like a little coded kid, but great lad. And he come in, Jimmy, we've saved up £500 and we're going to buy this big stereo system. Is that okay with you? It's fine, Dennis. But don't forget, their dressing room was across from ours. I went, any noise out of it, Dennis, and it's going. So anyway, anyway, we've had this for a week, and you know what I'd like to put this music on where you bang your head against the wall. I thought, I'm not having that. So I warned him. I said, Dennis, you've got to lower it down a bit. Anyway, he didn't lower it down. So I went and cut the cable on his stereo. And he come in to me and says, Jimmy, someone's cut the cable on our stereo. I went, Dennis, it's me. I warned you 3 times. And that's it. So that's what happens. Anyway, they get a new cable, and the next thing, the music's now down low. And as soon as I go up for my break, you can hear it from upstairs, the music, they turn it up. Yeah. You know what I mean? But the kids knew where they stood with me. And that was good. You get some of them, if you see a first team player having a rain jacket or something like that, they go, I'll see if I get a rain jacket here. So they come in and go, have you got a rain jacket, Jimmy? And you go, here we go. And you'd open the back door of the kit room, and you put your hand out and you'd shake your hand around and go, it's not raining, piss off. You know what I mean? Yeah. Little things like that, and they loved that. They loved that kind of banter. You know what I mean? You never got nothing extra in the kit room. You got what you were entitled to, and that was it.
and that's exactly how it should be, isn't it? Yeah. Let's fast forward then to the present. Obviously, we're now currently under Sean Dyche. Obviously, you worked briefly with him. Obviously, Frank Lampard prior to him. How hard's it been the past couple of seasons, you know, being involved with Everton, the back-to-back relegation struggles? And do you think Sean Dyche is the right man right now?
Yeah. From when he come in February, same again, I knew the kitman very well at Burnley, Lee Martin, and I spoke to Lee about him and Jimmy, he's old school and he'll love you. He said, because you're the same as him. He said, and the lads he's bringing with him, they're great lads as well. Of course, Ian Ward's a Scouser, isn't he?
Yeah.
Steve Stone is just a good kid, good lad. And Mark Howard, he was the fitness coach at the time. So they were good people. And I went in on the Saturday when they first arrived at Finch Farm, and we sat down, we all had our dinner together and all that, and you could tell the vibes that was coming out, they were going to be okay for Everton, they were going to be good. And they turned out to be. And they work hard, don't get me wrong, he spent some hours there, but they're really good people, and I hope that he turns the club around, which he has done, he's kept us in the Premier League anyway, so. But Frank Lampard was an absolute gentleman.
Yeah.
I remember Frank Lampard coming, he coming like before the end of the season. I remember like being away with my family and in the summer when Frank was the manager, and he sent me a text and he said, Jimmy, can you send me your bank details, Tony's bank details and Sean's bank details? Now that man put money in our bank for our holidays. Walter Smith used to do the same. Walter would get in his and he'd give you all money. Howard was the same. You know what I mean? Nowadays you don't get that nowadays.
No.
You know, you probably get like Moisey used to come in with a crate of beer. You know what I mean? But Moisey give it you other ways. Moisey would take you to the lakes for the weekend, and then you'd train on a Friday and a Saturday, and your family would be on the way up on a bus. You know, so we'd all be like Saturday night. We'd all have a sing song in a hotel and all that. They were different people, you know what I mean? But now they don't do anything like that nowadays.
No, definitely. Obviously, 3 decades at Everton Football Club.
Yeah.
What has been your best moment and best story at Everton Football Club as a whole? What stands out for you, Jimmy?
The thing that stands out for me is the semi-final at Leeds. That was we never expected to beat Tottenham, but we had players in that team that was like Joe Parker who would roll the sleeves up. We had like Anders Limper. Loved Gary Ablett. I remember Gary Ablett coming to Belfield to sign for Everton, and Gary Ablett never drunk, but I had to carry him down the stairs after when he'd been with Howard. Howard used to have this like Chinese whiskey, and he'd give him a couple of these drops of whiskey, and he'd end up carrying them, putting them in taxi, send them home. So Gary Ablett was a fantastic lad, and I seen Gary on the last few weeks of his life, and it broke my heart. But these are people that you'll never forget. But the semi-final against Leeds United against Tottenham, we were the underdogs. But when you walked out, we had the 3 stands. They had the big main stand, but you couldn't hear that. You couldn't hear any. You just heard all the Evertonians. And what a game to beat them 4-1. You know what I mean? And the Amakachi thing where Amakachi has gone on. Les Helm, Les was deaf, blind. He was one of them. And it was one, you put a thumbs up, it was all right, or a thumbs down. And Leslie's gone, like, I'm not sure. So Amakachi's run on when I was doing the subs that day. So Joe's run down the line going, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's all right, he's all right. Anyway, he's already been on the pitch. And when he pulled me to the end, Joe, and he went, oh my God, what a substitution! What a substitution! Because he scored 2 goals, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
So, got some good stories from good people, you know what I mean, from over the years. And I'm looking forward to the 28th of December to get on that stage and tell all the Evertonians what really went on behind the scenes, because this is nothing to what I'm going to tell them on that night.
Yeah, it definitely is. And we'll touch on that towards the end of the podcast about that special night on the 28th. We've touched on your best moments at Everton. What's been your lowest and worst moments, obviously, being involved with Everton Football Club?
The Wimbledon game, especially when we went 2-0 down. And I spoke to Anders. Anders come down to Finch Farm a few months ago, and I spoke to him because he gave the penalty away on the second goal. And that was when I thought we were down then.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought we were down. Because I'd never been in, I'd always been in the top flight. So I'm lucky to be the kitman, because Kitman have gone down, even like Man United went down, Liverpool, they've all gone down. Everton never went down in the time I was there, so that was good.
What was the best story? So, of all this 30 years, your best and favourite story that stands out? Could be anything, could be something so small, something so big. What's been your best story at Everton?
Got that many.
I can see your cogs going here.
One of the funniest stories, and we knew because he wasn't a comedian, Moisey. He was never a comedian. He come from Preston. He come on his own, to be honest with you, to be good. And I remember him coming in and said, "I want to meet with all the staff," and we all sat around this table in Belfield, and he went, "I've got this envelope here, and there's a name in this envelope who doesn't like me." And he said, I'm going to keep my eye on you. So everybody's frightened to death. We're all frightened to death. I've not said nothing about him. I don't know the fella. You know what I mean? And it was 2 years after we all sat down and we all said, "Who was in the envelope?" And he went, "No one. It was just a blank piece of paper. I was just testing you all." You know what I mean? That was what Moisey was like. Moisey, he'd done well for Everton, to be honest with you. Took us to Australia and all. That was the hardest trip I've ever done in my life. I will explain that later on in the time, you know. And then that's what he was a good fella. And then he went to Man United, and I spoke to him when he was at Man United. He went, "Jimmy, it's the worst decision I've ever made coming here."
Is that what he said?
Because he said the players in this dressing room here are poison. He said, and I miss the lads at Everton. You've got to try and improve yourself, but I think Fergie done him there. I think he didn't realise where he was going to hit him. He didn't last long, did he?
No, he didn't.
You know. So, and I would have had him back before anybody else. I would have had him back. Yeah. But I'll say one of the two people I did like working with was Sam Allardyce.
Yeah.
So Sam was class, and Sammy Lee was class. Sammy, all right, but you might work for Liverpool, but he worked on the team he worked with. And he wanted the team he worked with to do well. And Sam, the knowledge of Sam Allardyce was unbelievable. I mean, the first trip we're in London, the first trip away with Sam, and we used to travel in tracksuits and all that. And Sam come down with his gear on and all that. He was shocked to see us in tracksuits. He couldn't believe it. He said to Sammy, "What's going on? Why haven't you got the gear on?" Because what Sam used to do, the Friday night was a staff night. He used to, because he'd been all around. He used to have a restaurant in every town that we used to play in. Sam had a restaurant that he'd take you to and look after you. And that was his thanks for what you'd done that week. They were great people to work with. And I think if Sam had got a little bit longer, he knew who they all were. He knew who the problem was. And he would have got rid of them. But he didn't get the chance.
No, he didn't get the chance indeed. And touching on the pre-season, you've kind of glossed over it there. What were the pre-season tours like then? You know, did some of the players come back a bit overweight, a bit laggy, a bit fatigued? What were they like? And were they good laughs? Did they improve the banter? Were they there to obviously increase morale, team bonding?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they come back, like most of the managers, they used to call it the Fat Club. If you were in the Fat Club, you were running for days and days and days. And Unzi was always in the Fat Club. From day one, he was all in the Fat Club, Unzi. But no, that was it. And we used to go around Crocky Park. They used to run around Crocky Park, and that was always our venue start. And then we started going up to where the Jewish cemetery is, up that hill, whatever, Camp Hill. We used to run up Camp Hill and all that. That was your venues. And then you started going to Sweden, started going to America, Moisey, it was America every year with Moisey.
Yeah.
It's just travel. It was a killer for the kitman. It was a killer. No, it was a killer.
Getting some air miles in.
Yeah, I mean, you get your summers off, and every year you was getting a week less. I mean, when you were going to Australia for like 3 weeks, we were a month preparing that to send it out on cargo for different. One was winter, one was spring, one was summer. So you had different. You had coats we won, and you had to have t-shirts and vests with it, and it was a killer for the kitman. And people don't see what you were used to do. I've been stamping shirts when we'd done a deal with Puma, and the sizing from the year before from Umbro was massive. So we were like, we have to go and get stuff out the shop and print shirts up to like playing Man City the next day, printing shirts up like small and medium because the large would fit Unzi. Do you know what I mean? just things like that, you know, the things that we've had to do, you know what I mean? Like when Duncan first come and Unzi, we had 2 pair of shorts made into one because they were up here on them. Do you know what I mean?
Jesus.
Little things like that, the things you've had to do, like over the years, it would open your eyes. But now you just get what you want now, don't you? Everything's. And then, I remember when we done the deal with Hummel, I went with Dave Harris and the commercial people and all that, people from different parts of the club. And I remember I was going to Denmark, and they had, I don't know if you know what the CADs are pictures of all the kit, and they had it all on the floor. And we had a couple of people who, they're not football people to me, the people at the stadium, they didn't know what to talk about, some of them. So I'm there to represent the first team. So we go into this room, and one of the lads said, "What do you think, Jim? What do you think?" And I looked at the cans on the floor and I went, "Not a lot." And he went, what do you mean? I went, "There's no blue and white on the floor. We're Everton Football Club. Where's the blue and white?" And then this lad from Fanatics, supposed to be at Everton, he went, "Well, you know, we have to sell shirts in the shop and all that." I went, "I don't know, pink, putting pink in players and that." And the time I left there was 4 kits changed to blue and white.
That's what it is. That's Everton's colours, isn't it?
Warm-up gear. You want blue and white to go with blue and white. Do you know what I mean? That was what it was like. A lot of people don't know what football is, and you can see the way it is now. You know, the way they're playing football. It's not. I sometimes turn the telly off because I get embarrassed of watching it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's changed so much, hasn't it, modern day football, and especially what I want to know is would your day look like then on a match day as the kit man? Like what would you do from early morning to late at night? How would it run your day?
Well, we worked every game on a weekly basis. We would never ever work for the next game. We always got that game because it was like once a week then. It's not like it is now, where you go like Wednesday or you're playing Thursday or you're playing Sunday or you could play on a Friday. It wasn't like that then. You played every Saturday, and so you start off on a Monday. You'd start like printing all the shirts, make sure you had all the shirts, because you used to have to take all the shirts. You'd take people who if they were fit, their shirt was in that skip, because somebody might break down with a cold or something like that, and then they wouldn't play, or they got an injured. So you had to have cover. You had to make sure you couldn't go to the side of the country and not have cover. Do you know what I mean? So you took everybody's gear with you, and of course nowadays, it's a nightmare nowadays because they throw the shirts in the crowd and all that. And I've had so many arguments with players over that.
Is that a fine for the player?
No. We're too good. We're too soft for them because they should pay for them. That's what I mean. And I've been trying to make the club make them pay for them, because sometimes you lose 25 shirts in a game. But it's not only the shirt; it's the badges, the sleeve badges, and all that. Everything like that. The numbers on the back are not cheap. The names on, all that kind of thing. So nowadays, when I first took over, they had like 2 to 11, goalkeepers 1, and then we had like 3 subs, and that was it.
Yeah.
1 set of shirts. Now we take 4 sets of shirts with us.
4 sets of
4
shirts? 4
sets of shirts, you have to do. You've seen Haaland on the pitch the other day, swapping at half time. Do you know what I mean? What happens if he gets blood on his shirt? You have to replace it. So you've got to make sure you got cover. It's gone ridiculous. And yet you see these rugby players playing with blood covered all over the shirts.
They just play on, don't they?
Just play on. Yeah.
What was it like after the game then? Obviously from the back of like a win or a loss. Could you feel that in the dressing room? Does it impact yourself as well?
Yeah. I never went out. If we get beat, I never go out. I mean, I live in a place called Ribby Hall, and I go out and I'm in the bar with the lads every night. But if we get beat, no way I'd be out. Never. Don't go out. It used to affect me. I used to hate losing. I used to play head tennis, and I hated losing. We used to play head tennis every afternoon, every day, and if it hit that brick there, we knew where the ball was going to bounce. Yeah. And that's why we could beat all the players, because we knew where the ball was going to bounce and everything, and that was it. But I was a bad loser. I wouldn't even let my kids beat me cards. That's how bad I am.
Yeah. It's like tricks of the trade, isn't it? Obviously the little bricks and
Yeah.
stuff. But recent squad, I think I did a bit of looking into obviously you, the man, Jimmy Martin, and there's a very sentimental picture of you and Richarlison. Obviously he got sold to Tottenham Hotspur, and there was a nice photo of you and him together consoling each other. What was he like? For me, he kind of got Everton from the outside, and he was such a nice man. But obviously that picture of you and him, I was like, oh, do you know what? I respect stuff like that. What was he like?
He loved the kit room.
Did he?
Yeah, he used to give shirts away for fun. I mean, he's had them rolled up in his sleeves of his jacket, and we found them. You know what I mean? But Richie was a good kid. I believe he had a bad upkeep, so he was. How can I describe him? He was dead quiet. Wouldn't say boo to no one. Loved winning. He was a winner, and he loved playing football, and he was just a nice lad. You know, I said to him, you know what, Richie, the grass ain't greener on the other side. Ask Stephen Pienaar. He went to Tottenham, and he couldn't wait to come back, and it's true. The grass ain't green on the other side, and I'll tell you what, if you ask him today, he'll regret going to Tottenham, because he loved Everton. And he didn't score goals like he scored for Everton, did he?
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
You
can tell, can't you, when certain players are just made for a football club, workman-like.
Everton's a family club. Yeah. Everybody sticks together, and that's how you know your freedom you get through the club is good. You go to Tottenham and places like that, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get what we get up here. No chance.
What are your thoughts then on the current crop of players at Everton? Obviously, it's been quite difficult with the financial restraints hanging over the football club. What do you make of the current crop of players? For me, we're starting to see a bit of a workman-like, you know, that siege mentality, us against the world, Everton team for the first time in a while. Do you share them views? Is there anything from inside the lads that are there now?
I just think Everton have got to be the unluckiest club I've ever known.
Yeah,
I don't think we get any luck on anything. And sometimes I feel for some of the players, you know, because they don't go out. You can tell by the shirts if they've run or they've not run. You can pick a shirt up and go, he's had shift, he's not had a shift. You know what I mean? We can tell. But top down, I've not met any player over this new regime over nowadays who don't try. You know, some are harder, you know, than others. Some are weak. Some are, you know. But they're good people and they're good players. And I think Sean Dyche will get the better out of these players now because you can't play without centre forwards, can you?
No.
You know, we've lost lots of games where we've destroyed teams, but we can't score. And now we've got a couple of decent strikers in who's starting to score goals. A few of the lads from the midfield are getting goals. The kid we've got at the back, I think, is outstanding, Branthwaite.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I met him the first day. He's got no brain. You can see through each ear. You can see daylight through the ears. Yeah. But what a good. I'm glad you never let him go to PSV because apparently done very well there. And we've got a good squad. Pickford's one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. I think we've got a good. He's getting better. The kid at the back, the Ukrainian kid, Miko, he's getting better. And I think he's getting a good bunch of, you know, he's getting it all together because he's getting them all fit now, isn't he? So they're going to be better.
Yeah, definitely workman-like. A lot, you know, very much a gritty, you know, determination about them. And
Tark's at the back. Tark's he's the kingpin. He's the one who puts them all into place and all that. And he's like me. He doesn't take any messing. He'll tell you as it is. And you need that, like a Dave Watson. You know what I mean? Like a David Weir. You need people like that in your club, and he's one of them.
Yeah, players to really like get a grip of the whole team, and you can see that from the stands. You know, Tarkowski, he's an absolute leader, like a man mountain, and you can see him barking orders. Yeah. You mentioned centre forwards before, and I've actually missed a player who was one of my heroes growing up, and that is obviously Duncan Ferguson, and it's just sparked into my life. So to obviously ask you about him. There must be some stories there about Duncan. How was he as a man, and is there anything that stands out to what he did at the football club besides?
Duncan was a gentle giant. When he was off the park, nicest fella you could ever meet, and can be funny, but kept himself back. I mean, he was a drinker when he first come from Rangers. He was a drinker, but then he started to mellow and started to get better. He was a good player, and I mean, I remember his first game against Liverpool with Joe Royle, and he scored the winner. You know what I mean? And ever since then, he's got better and better. But what a great lad! I've known Duncan for a long time. We used to go walking, like before games and time. We'd go and have a walk because I was actually born in the next village to Duncan. I was born in Scotland. The next door, I was born in a place called Bullens, which is next door to Bannockburn, and my parents actually knew Duncan's parents. It was all like close-knit little village because it was a little mining town, a little mining village. So everybody knew everybody. So Duncan knew that I come from Bullens, and we used to have a laugh and joke. So we stuck together being Duncan. We were close. And he used to go around and do the collection, Duncan, like for Christmas. And I remember like Mark Hughes coming, and Duncan said, bring the money in for the kitman and the girls tomorrow. And I remember Mark Hughes saying, getting paid, aren't they? And then Duncan just went, bring your money in tomorrow. And the next day, Duncan come in the kitchen and went, got his money. He was like that. He always looked after us, Duncan, always looked after us.
Yeah.
And we looked after him as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's one of my heroes growing up. And overall, how has Everton impacted your life? How was it like sat on you, going painting a decorator, driving the coach, obviously becoming the kit man? How was it embedded on you and obviously coming into the community of Everton Football Club?
Well, sitting here, being able to talk about the journey I've been on, and it's been a fantastic journey, right from driving the bus right through to retiring a couple of months ago. Still speak to a few of the players, still speak to cars regular. I've kept in touch with a lot of people. It's been a fantastic journey. I can't, what a fantastic club. I can't say any more than that, you know what I mean? I've had a great time staying in top hotels. I'd never been on a plane in my life till I joined Everton. So, that kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. To summarise, best manager that you've worked under?
I couldn't. There's got to be 5 or 6 best ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't pick. Howard was brilliant. Howard was probably the best because he signed me. He was just a man of class. Walter, man of class. Moisey was different, but you knew what you was getting from Moisey. I love Moisey, and I still speak to him to this day. Even Rafa Benitez. I mean, a lot of people didn't like it, but he was good to us, so I wouldn't call him. You know what I mean? He was good to his staff were good. He thought he was a bit of a comedian, but forget that. He used to only laugh at his own jokes. But no, everybody's good. Angelotti got on all right with him. Koeman, yeah. One of the ones I really did like was Roberto Martinez. Roberto Martinez was a gentleman, and he knew how to work you, and he knew how to work the players, and he knew how to put an arm round you or point your finger at you. So all them managers that I've worked with, one of the worst I've worked with, but not as a man, has got to be Mike Walker. Because Mike Walker, only for Dave Williams, who was his coach at the time, he wouldn't have even lasted the 10 months. Because I remember us going on a pre-season tour to Sweden, and he said to me and Les, we flew to Copenhagen, and we had to get a ferry across. And as we've gone in to check the ferry to make sure that no one is, he was on the bus. We got out, and the bus had gone. Forgot about us. So we're in Sweden, with no money, no nothing, trying to get to the. We knew where the hotel was, and we actually managed to talk a taxi driver to taking us to the hotel, and him getting paying the taxi. That's what he was like. You know what I mean? But the players knew that we weren't on the bus. You know what I mean? They were loving that. You know what I mean? So, and when we got the taxi, they were all out the windows and things like that. You go, got lost, did you? That was the banter. That was the days you had the banter. So we had great times. You know what I mean?
Best and worst trainer, playing wise.
Best and worst trainer.
Who used to train the best and who used to train the worst?
Oh, there's a few of them, lad.
Yeah.
I remember we signed a lad from West Ham. I forget his second name now. Danny Williamson. He's got to be the worst player I've ever seen at Everton, because he didn't want to play football. He played at tennis, but he didn't want to play football. I would say he'd be the worst trainer I'd ever known at the club.
And the best?
The best? Been a few of them. Gary Speed. Gary Speed's my hero. And I want to keep some of Gary Speed ones for on the 28th, because he was a top man him. And I was so devastated when I heard the news about him. We were in Manchester Airport. We were flying away to America with Moisey, and one of the lads has come out and says, "Your mate's on the telly." Didn't know, because I mean, Gary Speed, Paul Gerrard, and Graham Stewart. We used to go to Marbella every year. About 3 years on the trot we done it, and Gary Speed used to pay for it, Speedo, but they'd all chip to take me, because we're close. And I remember going into the airport lounge, and it was breaking news on the telly that he'd passed away, and I just sat in the corner, and I just didn't know what to say, because he was a looker for a start. He was a good player, but he was a good man. Do you know what I mean? And I knew I knew why it's all come out lately. You know why he'd done it, but it was devastating to know that he had gone like that. Not to say goodbye or something like that. You know what I mean? I knew his mum and dad. I knew his wife and his kids. I knew all them. You know what I mean? And when his mum and dad come to the game, you know, you don't know what to say, do you? You know, you just... It was good. It was just... But what a great lad he was.
Yeah, so honestly, so sad.
Yeah.
Gary Speed, horrendous. But you've mentioned the 28th. You mentioned the 28th of December. So we're going to obviously speak to you about that now. You are speaking, aren't you, in Liverpool? Can you tell us a bit more about that for the listeners that have tuned in? When and where can we catch you, Jimmy Martin?
Well, it's going to be at St George's Hall. I've been asked to do a question and answer with Phil Jagielka. All the best, Jags. I've got a bit on him as well. But he's promised, I promise I wouldn't say nothing about him, but I will. But yeah, I'm looking forward to 28th of December, St George's Hall. I've had a little tour around the place and all that. Been there many times on players' awards at the end of the season and things like that. I've done a few little things for the club since I've retired. I'm really looking forward to it, and letting the Everton fans see what I was like behind the scenes and all that, you know what I mean? I've got a great life story to tell them, and I'm trying to keep it for that day. Yeah,
definitely, I agree. And obviously, Phil Jagielka, just touched on him. What was he like as a person?
Brilliant lad. I mean, the first, when Moisey was a manager, as I say, Moisey, he took him on. We were going away to Los Angeles to play a game, because Moisey used to take you away to America, and Phil Jagielka found out that if you were a new club, you had to sing a song. Well, I've never seen no one panic about singing a song than Phil Jagielka. And in the end, he got a few drinks and got drunk, and then he started to sing, and we couldn't get him off the mic in the end. he just wanted to sing all night, but trying to get him on the mic, it was a nightmare. But and he'll probably tell that story as well, you know what I mean? But great lad, great captain, good player, by the way. And he was another one with the young kids. He'd put him in the place, you know what I mean? He always had our backing. And he'll say, everything, you come in, like Seamus Coleman does. He'll come in the kit room all the time, house things and all that. And we go, we're not having him. We're not having him. Have a word with him before we do, are you? You know, we all stuck together. You had your mates, your best mates, who you could trust. And that's a big thing about working behind the scenes. You need to work with people that you can trust. And had a great time, haven't I?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, for most of you from the Bullens, then obviously check out the 28th of December. We'll be posting a link on social media and on our Patreon page for people to access tickets. I've only unearthed the surface here. I can see, and we spoke off air, there's so much more to come on that night. I wish I could have got it out of here, but look, I honestly recommend buying these tickets and going to see Jimmy and Phil at St George's Hall on the 28th. We're going to be there. We're going to be there as well, obviously helping at the night. So honestly, buy your tickets. Go and obviously speak to Jimmy, Phil, and whoever else is there. It's going to be an incredible night. But from me, from all Evertonians, from Heroes of Youth from the Bullens, it's been an absolute pleasure, hearing the stories, having you on, meeting a true Everton legend that goes unnoticed. It's absolutely incredible. Enjoy your retirement, have a good break from football, and keep going to Spain on your jolly holidays. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jimmy.
I will. Don't worry about that. Thank you.
Yeah. In the meantime, have a great week. Up the top easy, and you'll be hearing a lot more from us very soon. All the very best.